You're under arrest. Turn off.
No, I'm not under it. Okay, you go.
Stop resisting.
This is how she looked for her mugshot. On June 23, 2024, a 57-year-old citizen journalist and activist named Caroline was peacefully exercising her First Amendment right to film law enforcement in the course of their duty. That's when tyrant Officer Matthew Kreuger of the Fort Worth, Texas Police Department unlawfully and violently arrested her, causing serious injuries which resulted in her being rushed to the emergency room. I must warn each and every one of you, the video you're about to watch is truly disturbing.
How do you know if they paid or not, ladies? Hey ladies, hey ladies, hey ladies, hey Kreuger.
Go to the other side of the street.
No, I'm not going to before. There's no investigation, there's no nothing.
You can go to the other side of the street. You're going to get arrested. I'm not warning you again.
What are you talking about?
Go to the other side of the street right
Why?
now.
Wait, tell me why first.
We're doing an
You're under arrest. Turn off.
No, I'm not under it. Okay, you go.
Stop resisting. Stop resisting.
She's bleeding.
Caroline spent several hours in the hospital before she was eventually released and booked into the county jail. This is how she looked for her mugshot. All for filming the police, ladies and gentlemen. Now I want to bring on Caroline's attorney, CJ Grisham, so we can get some details on this case. All right, CJ, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate your time. I know you've been very busy with this case and other cases you're working on, so thank you for giving me the time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So first things first, how is Caroline doing? When's the last time you spoke to her?
So I just spoke to her probably 2 hours ago, and she's sleeping. She's getting ready to go to sleep and is trying to get through the pain. So physically, she's in a lot of pain, but mentally, she's still really tough and resilient. You know, they can't soil that resilience in her, but you know, they might blacken her eye, but they're not going to silence her voice.
Right. So what exactly, I will bring up her charges right here. So she was charged false alarm or report, interfere with public duties, resist arrest, and evading arrest.
Yeah, so I'll go down from the top to the bottom. The false alarm or report, I think, now keep in mind, I haven't seen the police reports yet, but since I've seen the video and saw and heard kind of what I heard, what I believe they're trying to claim on that false alarm or report is that when she said, help, rape, fire, you know, because they were ignoring her. And so she was kind of being facetious about that.
Right.
Well, those charges, even if she hadn't been beaten, those charges would not fly because there are several elements that need to be involved. The fact that no one responded, she didn't expect anyone to respond, but the elements just aren't there for that to begin with. Interference with the public duties, you know, that's just I'm a cop and you didn't do as I say in Texas. It's contempt of cop. That's exactly what the interference statute is. And then you've got resisting and evading. So the difference in Texas with resisting arrest, search, or transport is that you provide some sort of opposition to them attempting to place you under arrest. That's essentially what resisting is. The difference about evasion is that's actively running away or moving away from the police officer that's trying to arrest or detain you. That's physically like trying to get away, not backing away. You know, if you're backing away and you're like, hey, leave me alone, that's more of a resisting thing. But if you turn around and try to run away, that's where the evading comes in.
So it sounds to me that the elements aren't here for any of these charges.
No, they're not. The only thing they can get her on evading is when they made her unconscious, perhaps her soul tried to run away.
Right. And I want to touch into that, you know, because this is a very serious situation. And, you know, you just mentioned that, you know, officers are trained to say, you know, stop resisting, stop resisting, stop resisting. Even when you're not resisting, they're just trained automatically to say that. Same way I trained myself to every time a law enforcement officer says that I am under arrest, I'm not resisting. I'm not resisting. I'm not resisting. If you go watch any one of my arrest videos, you'll see I always say I'm not resisting. I'm not resisting, just to kind of put it out there that, listen, I'm not resisting in any way, and I have evidence. Listen, I'm saying it the same way that they say that you are resisting. What disturbs me most, CJ, is that he says stop resisting after she's already clearly knocked unconscious. You want to go into what was that breathing that we heard? I've seen a lot of people report on it. It's called agonal breathing. Can you explain that?
Yeah, agonal breathing. So what I'll tell you first is the fact that she's in agonal breathing and is unconscious, essentially. So I guess the best way to describe that is agonal breathing is when your body is trying to shut down, and your brain is trying to force your lungs to continue to supply it with oxygen, but your body is sort of dying, is what your brain thinks. And so it's a forced mechanism between the brain and your lungs to try and get that oxygen, because your brain needs oxygen. And your brain senses that there's some kind of trauma going on. Well, in this case, the trauma was to the brain. And so the brain is sending these mixed signals thinking, wait a minute, I'm dying, I need oxygen. And so it forces the lungs to try and get more breath. And the best way to describe agonal breathing in most cases is dying breath. That's most of the time, that's what agonal breathing is. It's your dying breaths. If you've ever seen anyone getting ready to die, they're taking those, quick breaths. That's what it is. It's your brain trying not to die. It's your body trying to get the oxygen that everything else is cutting off of it because of whatever trauma you're experiencing. And this is a perfect example of the fact that cops are robots, because here you've got somebody that's obviously in agonal breathing, obviously unconscious, and yet they revert to their training, and their training is stop resisting. Right. This is a perfect example of how what kind of nonsense police work is these days, because they just teach them, just say stop resisting, just say stop resisting. And it doesn't matter, they just shot somebody 10 times and they're trying to roll this guy over and his body is stiffening up, right? Because he's dead. The guy's dead, and the body and the nerves and the muscles are starting to stiffen up. Stop resisting, stop resisting. And the guy's dead.
Right. And that's, Officer Matthew Kreuger of the Fort Worth Police Department had the nerve, that animal, because I'll call him what he is, that animal had the nerve to say stop resisting to a woman who is clearly unconscious, clearly exhibiting agonal breathing, head trauma. And we've seen the booking photo. Horrendous, absolutely horrendous. I saw your video on your channel where she mentions that she has stitches on her mouth, stitches on her head, stitches. Her elbow was dislocated, completely dislocated, and her shoulder, I believe. So she went through some serious physical trauma by this animal, Matthew Kreuger, and all because he immediately told her, again, I want to speak to the bootlickers and the sheep out there. Whatever you think about the 4 charges against her, you cannot tell me that in your heart you believe that this young man slamming this 57-year-old woman to the ground, because that's what it looks like. We don't have the body camera footage yet, CJ. We don't have the security camera footage. But what it looks like to me is that he grabbed her, slammed her to the ground on her face and head, on her head, and told her to stop resisting after she's clearly unconscious. What kind of clearly excessive force, clearly criminal behavior? Can you tell me a little bit about Matthew Kreuger? This is not the first time he's had involvement with people that are just filming him, and he has a history. Can you explain to me a little bit about his history from what you know?
Yeah, so this guy's got a violent history. He was fired from Irving PD, which is near up in that area, in the DFW area. Was fired from Irving PD for using excessive force and other things. They ended up firing him. He sued the department. Of course, the police union came to his aid, and they worked out some agreement to where he was able to kind of move on. Well, guess what? Fort Worth went ahead and picked him up, because they can't have enough tyrant cops at Fort Worth PD. So why not add another one here? And so he comes here. I've got another client actually, and he lets me talk about this, so it's fine. But a lot of auditors know who Manuel Mata is. He pulled a gun on Manuel Mata for crossing the street, literally just crossing the street. He wasn't resisting. He wasn't running. He crossed the street and he was walking down the sidewalk. And Matthew Kreuger, I call him Freddy Kreuger because he's a nightmare in DFW, pulls a gun on him and starts ordering him to, put his hands up and all this other for crossing the street. And then he charges my client again with evasion and interference and all these other things, just like he did with this client. Now I got all those charges dismissed. And part of that was because of who Kreuger is and of the fact that everything's on video. Like, I don't understand how Kreuger, one, continues to do what he's doing, knowing that he's being filmed, and especially when he's being filmed. I mean, think about this. The guy's doing this knowing he's on camera.
Right.
What does that tell you about the environment in Fort Worth PD?
Yeah, the culture.
The culture that these guys are doing this knowing they're being recorded, knowing they've got their body cameras on. And so here we have the exact same thing. This is your typical Matthew Kreuger, Freddy Kreuger. I'm going to commit felonies and then charge the victims of my crimes with crimes. That's the Kreuger culture.
Right. Sounds to me, we all heard of the Brady list. There needs to be a Kreuger list of unhinged lunatic law enforcement officers out there that will commit felonies against law-abiding citizens. Again, she's filming him. She's not interfering in any way. She is exercising her First Amendment right. As you know, there is case law in that district. Turner v. Driver did amazing work and got that case law implemented there. And, we have the right to film the police. It is pretty clear. And he just doesn't like that, it seems. Doesn't like being on camera. Doesn't like transparency and the lack of accountability. When I hear you talk about how he was fired from a police department and then now he's able to work at Fort Worth, that just tells me what I've seen throughout the years I've been doing this is that there's zero accountability in law enforcement. Zero. People like to talk about, would they need better training? This would all stop if there was accountability. If Kreuger was taken off the streets back at his previous department, she wouldn't have ended up in the hospital. Caroline wouldn't have ended up in the hospital, all for filming him. For the other two officers on the scene, and that, they're a disgrace as well for not doing anything to stop this unhinged lunatic.
There were five officers on the scene.
5 of them.
There were 2 close by, right there, but there were 3 other officers in the area.
Wow.
Right there in that spot. So that's the other issue. Why weren't these ladies saying, these lady cops going, all right, Matt, that was uncalled for. You're under arrest for official oppression and misuse of office. You're under arrest for aggravated assault causing bodily injury.
That's the problem, CJ, that they would never do something like that, because if they did, they would be seen as the pariah department, not Kreuger. The whole department would be like, oh, these are the officers we need to look out for because they're going to hold us accountable. They're going to snitch, quote unquote, snitch on us. They cross the thin blue line. It's a gang mentality. They call each other brother. That's what gangs do. They call each other brother. They look out for each other. They make sure that, no matter what that person does, they're going to have their back. And that just can't be in law enforcement. That can't be the mentality, or else we're not going to, have a fair and just system here with transparency. So I'm shocked. When I saw the video and I heard the agonal breathing, I was completely shocked. I was heartbroken that such an animal like Matthew Kreuger would do such a thing. I think the Freddy Kreuger moniker that you put on him is well-fitting. Where do we go? What do you want the people to know, and where do we go from here?
Well, obviously, if you're in the area, what I want people to start doing, especially if you're a citizen of Fort Worth and Tarrant County, is go to the city council meetings until this guy's fired. They need to, and if they can't go to the city council meeting, they need to be sending letters to the mayor, sending letters to every single city council person. I would even say don't send an email. Actually type out something, print it, sign it with a pen, put it in an envelope, spend the 50 cents on a stamp, let them know that this really does mean something to you, not just, oh, I can send a quick email and be done with it and go about my life. Let them know that you're willing to put a 50-cent stamp on a piece of paper and have it mailed directly to them, so that they've got something they have to hold in their hands going, guys, this might be a problem.
Right.
And the next thing we've got to do is start demanding accountability. We've got to, and a lot of people probably don't know this. I'm retired law enforcement, so it's not like I just hate cops. I really hate bad cops.
Right.
And what's unfortunate is who are the good cops anymore? Because if you've got one bad cop and 4 standing around watching the bad cop do his bad things, you've actually got 5 bad cops.
Right.
And if it's only a few bad apples, well, where are the good ones? Where
Right.
are the ones saying this is uncalled for? This is and at the very least going, you know what? Okay, even if I'm not going to arrest you, you are not sending her to jail.
Right.
Even if she had committed interference, your actions just negated any opportunity for us to convict.
Right.
Or you know what? She's already been punished.
It happened within seconds. He said, we were across the street. She was filming, cars being towed. It wasn't like, a criminal investigation, a murder scene or any type of emergency situation. They were towing vehicles out of a private parking lot. And go ahead.
Yeah, there was no crime scene. There were no suspects. There was no investigation. There was no body lying around. This, just like you said, this was cops towing vehicles from private property, and she was filming it, and Freddy Kreuger didn't like it, and he does what he does best. He pulled out the claws, and he started slashing and dashing, killing people and putting them to sleep.
It was, the amount of time that it took for it to escalate to where it did truly shocks me. It was seconds. He says, stand across the street. Nope, you're under arrest. Boom, slams her to the ground, was what I think happened. I'm pretty sure the body camera footage will confirm that. Slams her to the ground on her head. Immediately, she's unconscious, agonal breathing, and he continues to say, stop resisting. There's no words for it. And, that's why I wanted to bring you on, and I appreciate you coming on. I wanted them to speak. I wanted to speak with her attorney. I know she's not doing well. She has serious injuries, and but I wanted to bring on our attorney so that way the people could see what's going to happen next. So now have you reached out to the prosecutor's office? Have you reached out to the police department?
So I've reached out to both. No one's gotten back with me today. I have demanded criminal charges be pressed. If they don't charge him with assault causing bodily injury or aggravated assault, then I'm going to go to the grand jury myself with charging documents. And then I've also contacted the police department, trying to get the reports. And I've also contacted surrounding businesses and have already spoken with some of the owners who said they've looked at the footage. They are saving, and they've already saved and archived the footage so it doesn't get deleted. Good. And that my client did nothing wrong, and that they were appalled by what they saw.
Anybody would. And I mean, I didn't see much. We when we just watched the video, it's mostly a black screen, but I could just picture being there and seeing this man slamming a woman to the ground. She's a 57-year-old woman, and you needed to slam her on her head on concrete in order to get her in handcuffs. It just doesn't make sense. It's clear on excessive force. And like I said, to all the bootlickers and sheep out there, she should have complied, went across the street. He didn't even give her a chance to comply. He said, go across the street or I'm going to arrest you. And she asked a question. She said, why? This isn't a crime scene, right? It's not a crime scene. It's nothing. Why? How dare she ask a question, right?
How dare she?
And sheep, how dare she ask a question of a public servant? And then for asking that question, get slammed on concrete on her head. It makes no sense. And that's why, bootlickers, and they're even worse than cops, because you're not even part of their brotherhood. They don't care about you. They will do it to you as well. They'll do it to your family. They don't care. You're just sitting on your couch and you're just idolizing law enforcement officers and thinking they're all heroes. I'm not anti-law enforcement in any way, and people know that. I've worked with departments across the country, to try and bridge the gap and bring us together. But to say that all law enforcement officers are heroes is just ignorant. It's just ignorant. A hero is a title that's earned. It's not given when you took a job. And Freddy Krueger here, Officer Matthew Kreuger, I want to put his real name out. Officer Matthew Kreuger is a complete nightmare, and he needs to be removed from the Fort Worth Police Department immediately. So
Someone's going to get killed.
Right. Listen, and somebody will lose their life if he keeps it's only escalating, right? He pulls a gun on somebody. Now he's putting a 57-year-old woman in. Like, I was taught growing up never to put your hands on a woman. Like, I understand law enforcement officers, they have to arrest women sometimes. I get that. But there was no need to put a 57-year-old woman, throwing her on the ground, causing those serious injuries. If you look at the picture of her, it's absolutely disgusting what happened to her. There's no need for that. It looks
and she's a small woman. She's like 5'3", I think.
It's truly sad. CJ, I know you're busy. I didn't want to take up too much of your time. I really appreciate you coming on and giving us a little update. Make sure you guys go subscribe to CJ's YouTube channel and to Carolina and Fort Worth for updates on the situation. I'll be following it very closely. I'm thinking about taking a trip to Fort Worth myself, so stay tuned to the channel. Again,
thanks,
CJ,
Sean.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Fellow Patriots, Caroline needs all of our support now more than ever. If you would like to donate to assist with her legal and medical bills, the links to do so will be in the description and pinned comment of this video. I will also leave a link to her channel, Carolina in Fort Worth. After watching this video, I was shook to my core. It is truly heartbreaking what Caroline had to go through. I wish her a very speedy recovery. I know she is a very strong woman, and she will get through this, and she will continue to exercise her First Amendment right to hold law enforcement accountable. Hit the like button on this video and share it everywhere you can so we can expose Tyrant Officer Matthew Kreuger to the world. Stay tuned to the channel for updates. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, stay safe. God bless. I'll see you in the next one. Long Island Audit. Peace.